Nick Adams, welcome to the iSigma On Air podcast. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, it's
nice to be here.
Your last name is Adams, and my last name is Adams, so that's kind of coincidental. But tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, yes, we have the same last name. So I'll tell a quick story.
Okay.
A real quick story. So I worked for Tom 12 years ago, and I answered a Craigslist ad looking for a project manager, and I really believe I got the interview solely for my last name. Maybe the combination of both. But it was a really cool time, or no, it was a really terrible time actually. It was a really cool opportunity that came from it because my previous business was going under. I was in a very low point, and whether you knew it or not, you were picking someone up at a time that was not doing too well. And so it's been really cool. I worked for WebVitality for 3 years, moved on, went and did the whole corporate thing for a while. And, it's been a really nice journey because I've stayed close with you this whole time, and being able to, work when I was younger and learn just some very basic things about how to be good at business. I think I was really good at the skill I had, but the business end was really bad. So you taught me a lot about that. And then just being able to learn from you over the last 10 years really set up, kind of coming back to where we started at and taking over WebVitality. And
so just to be clear, WebVitality, you became a employee of WebVitality, which at the time I was running. You worked with us for a few, but you kind of glossed over a little bit of your corporate journey. But your corporate journey is kind of cool. So you left WebVitality, which was a small boutique firm that worked mostly in the shredding and records management industries. And then you went on this really cool journey. So give us just a glimpse of that journey, because when I talk to people about you, I tell them how many websites you managed in your last job, and they their brains blow up a little bit.
Yeah, mine did too.
When I say 10,000 websites, they go, what? And so give us a little bit of the journey between old WebVitality and when you came back to take over to become the CEO and president of WebVitality as it current is. So give us a little bit of that journey.
So these are just, I think, as you were saying that, I was thinking it was small steps that incrementally got bigger.
Yeah.
So when I left WebVitality, it was I think at the time they were calling themselves a boutique agency at 35 people in apartments. We marketed property management companies. We built our own, internal CMS, and a lot of the software was built by us. So we're a little bit different type of a marketing agency. And then, that company was purchased 6 or 7 years ago by a larger company, probably the 800-pound gorilla in the industry. And, a really cool opportunity actually to go over there and lead a product team. We were building marketing software systems. And, like you said, when we started, it was 10,000 websites under management. I think when I left, it was 30,000 websites under management.
No, I always only say 10, but it's 30,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
30,000.
Wow.
And, I think in apartments and is a unique industry. It's a lot about brand. It's a lot about what's it look like, what's it feel like to live in this community. And so, some of the things we didn't focus on as hard were SEO, digital advertising, some of those things. Like, we really wanted to sell the brand, the look, the feel
right.
of the client.
Right.
And so I think, working there for 10 years was, I try to forget about it sometimes, but it was also extremely important in just, seeing another side of business and how at that level, how decisions are made and how they're not made too sometimes.
Yeah. So just over a year ago, you assumed the role of CEO and president of WebVitality.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about some of the interesting things you're doing at WebVitality in terms of the direction you're going, some of the changes and things you're doing. What's happening at WebVitality?
Well, first, it's been a really cool experience to come back to WebVitality. for two reasons. I think, you've done such a good job running that business. The employees that I left were still there, So, I mean, I just don't think you have a better marker of running a good business than having people stay. And then secondly, the clients were still there too. Like clients that I worked on a decade ago were back again.
Yeah, like
We're
you
still
built
here.
websites for people that you're now talking about new websites with. Like you
Right,
built them
right.
13 years ago, actually.
13 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very possible I built it.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, and the clients, this industry it feels like a very like coming home for some reason. And it sounds weird because we're talking shredding and destruction, but it's just really good down to earth people that there was a lot of anxiety about, quitting a,
Big
high
corporate.
title job with a lot of money and then taking a giant risk. And, you and I had talked about that quite a bit. And the first day, the first time we got on a call with one of the clients, and it just felt so just back to home.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, it's really an amazing industry. And in so many ways, it's an industry that envelops and sort of says, yeah, you're part of us. Once you're part of us, you're always part of us. And we help each other. And there's competitors, but it's a comfortable competitiveness. It's not a cutthroat antagonistic.
It's collaboratively.
Yeah, it's very collaborative.
Yeah.
So one of the things I know that because you have such amazing experience historically is what are some of the interesting things you're doing now at WebVitality in terms of AI integration, things like that. What are some of the cool things that you're working on?
We're really looking to try and just, I think like any other marketer, it's looking at which way is the wind blowing today. And with the advent of AI, it every day it blows in a different direction.
Yeah.
But, I think one of the first things that we're doing to leverage is just deeper research, being able to like really dig in on, if we're looking for keyword analysis, if we're looking to find keywords that we aren't typical but have higher searches, we'll use it to do that. I think idea generation is probably one of the best. It's just, you have this direction you want to move and you need a whole bunch of ideas laid on the table so you can look at it. But I also think the more practical implementation right now is just combining AI with automation. And it's like, what outdated business process, business practice do you have? What manual thing are you doing that we can solve through an automation using some AI? And I think every day it's changing.
Yeah.
But my recommendation for anybody is just to start playing with it.
Yeah.
Because the more you play with it, the more you learn it. And the more you learn it, the more ideas come to you. And, I think there's probably no sector of business that couldn't be helped through it if it's used the right way.
Yeah. And I think that's the interesting part of it right now, which is there's ChatGPT is really ushered in a Copilot if you're in the Microsoft environment, which is essentially the same thing, just wrapped differently. But there's just this advent of stuff coming at us. But that's the doorway drug, in my opinion, which is just play with ChatGPT and then get better at that. Like understand prompting and understanding those kind of things really builds a better understanding of, well, how does this work? Because if you just see it as a Google, it doesn't act like Google. Like it functions fundamentally differently than Google. But if you just go put a question and get an answer back, you're not really getting the result. But it's the next level of playing, which is go further, dig deeper.
Because I think one of the things AI can do is, I'm very protective over letting it actually act as my brain. I still like to use it to bounce things off of, but not rent my brain out to that.
Yeah.
It's really, really good at seeing an angle that you just didn't see. Right. So if I'm trying to solve a problem and I'm just banging my head against the wall, I can use that to say, what are some other scenarios here that I'm not thinking of? And by gone it, they show up.
Yeah. They're there.
And it might not be the solution, but it's the thing that moved me from being blocked into the next.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I know that you've been working on also is connecting advertising spend with with the actual end result. So tell me a little bit about the ability to sort of go from, a search to a paid click to a visitor on the website to a form or phone call to actually a sale in the CRM, in their CRM or in their operating software, right through to the end. Give me a sense of what you're doing with that.
I'm calling it revenue pullback, but effectively what we're trying to do is say, if you're going to invest $2,000 in a PPC campaign for a month, and at the end of that $2,000 spend, you got, let's say 25 leads from it. And then you served all those leads. And then the next month you spend another 2,000. How did you know to spend that 2,000 the next month?
Yep.
Well, hopefully you looked at how many leads you got out of it, what business was generated from it. And then out of that business, how much revenue did you make? And was it more than what you put into here? Right. And, by using multi-touch attribution, by looking at where did the user come from in the journey and tying that back to, okay, that user came from the ad. So that was a paid user. They invested this much money, $5 in that click. That person signed up. And it's one of the things that I find in most of my conversations that people don't have insights into. And so for me, it's a way to improve my business because I get to see the data as well. If we're not doing what we said we would do, but it's also for you to judge us and say, are we serving you the best that we can?
Yeah. So I think historically the challenge has always been going from the lead. And then it goes through this weird sales process, and then it comes out the other side.
Right.
But it's that ability to tie it through that mucky process, right?
Yes. Yeah, and that is the mucky process because then you get, okay, so the lead comes in, and there's conversations, and then maybe a couple phone calls, and then maybe somebody on staff that marked it incorrectly or whatever, and you lose that. And so, yeah, it's a great point. Ensuring that the chain of custody through that lead is always tracked so that it can be pulled back and tied.
Yeah. And there's some interesting work to do there. So what are you most excited about? You're relatively new back in the industry. What excites you the most right now?
Well, a bunch of different things. Okay. So AI is obviously exciting to me. I think the world of possibilities with it and what we can build for it is really, really cool. Looking at ways that we can, even reduce costs on certain areas and provide better value with it. In other cases, new opportunities that we didn't have in marketing. So how can I blend marketing and operations together? And how can I build systems and tools for our clients that can connect these two so that we can shorten the sales cycle, or we can shorten like the actual time it takes for someone to say, I'm interested, I have a box of paper and I need you to pick it up, to the truck actually coming and picking it up.
Right. Very cool. Well, Nick, it's been great talking to you. It's great
You
that
too.
you're part of the community now, that you're exhibiting here at the show and part of this wonderful place we call iSigma. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for being a part of it.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you.